the past meeting minutes. Any additions or corrections? Seeing none, they will stand approved as presented. Approval of the agenda. I have an item to add under ordinances and resolutions, which is, would be item 3, to and it's an ordinance authorizing a contract with the Dark County Visitors Bureau and Main Street Greenville to grant a variance regarding, I think, a sign issue. Just have the summary of that. Also, after the call of council, we have a need for an executive session, which deals with Ohio Revised Code 121.22G. Let me get this one right. G3, which is, item 2, G2, which is purchase of property for sale or property for sale for public use. And presently, that's all I have to add.
Mr. President, I move to approve the agenda as amended.
Motion by Mr. Schmidt to approve the agenda as amended. Discussion. Call the roll, please.
Hensley?
Yes.
Hottishell?
Yes.
Oliver?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Tryon?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Okay.
Sir, have we skipped over approval of the current financial report?
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. We need to approve the current financial report.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Oliver. Motion to approve the current financial report. Discussion. Call the roll.
Hensley?
Yes.
Hottishell?
Yes.
Oliver?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Tryon?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
I'm too set in my old ways, Mr. Oliver. I just kind of skipped right over that. Okay, public hearing. Now, before we begin, at last council meeting, it was a decision of the chair to retract our original assignment of the public hearing for 3 pieces of legislation because of the encompassing nature of them, which is out of context with what we normally do on a variance or a change of zoning. This involved in excess of 100 or nearly 150 properties. So it was decided that we really needed the legislation prepared exactly before there could be discussion on it, because it was rather nebulous in its design, it was felt. And after discussion with the law director and the mayor and safety service director, it was decided that that's what we would do. So there's no scheduled public hearing on the idea of the, amending the zoning of the
Architectural review.
architectural review district and all of that. So if you want to speak to that, I guess you're more than welcome to, but as far as setting the hearing, now we can do that because the legislation has been prepared. Do you have those pieces of legislation? Yeah, may I see them? I didn't get a chance to review them yet. They will be up for review on our website, correct? Will be posted. We will have those posted on our website. You can also come to the auditor's office and obtain copies. And it's ordinance amending Article 7 of the zoning ordinances to modify the architectural review district. And it spells out all the whys and wherefores and legalese that we need to do to make this big overlay. So now it is very specific in nature, and you can react to that. And I would like to take this opportunity to set that public hearing specifically for the first meeting in July, which will be July the 11th, because the first Tuesday in July falls on July the 4th. And I didn't want anybody bringing fireworks in and setting them off in here in the so I thought maybe it would be good. But there will be some folks unavailable over July 4th weekend and so forth. So we have set the first meeting in July, which will give us the 30 days. So you have the opportunity to review that legislation specifically for 30 days and prepare whatever you did. And anything that has been received by the clerk of council prior to that will be held over for consideration at that time as well. Now, with that said,
Sir,
any questions from council?
each individual property owner will receive notification
Yes, each
of the public hearing also.
Right. And as I said, there are two ways you can access it. One is on our website, which it will be posted on the website. And number two is you can come to the city building and request a copy of it. So, and there's a minimal charge for copies, right? 5 cents a page? And it's what, 4 or 5 pages? So, you know, if anybody needs to borrow a quarter of, I'll be glad to help you out. Now, and I don't mean that facetiously, I'm just trying to be a little bit. If anyone wishes to address council, may do so at this time. Please come to the microphone, state your name and address and what your situation is.
Matt Stogler, 450 East 4th. I'm also the Executive Director of the Dark County Visitors Bureau. As you all just amended tonight's agenda, the kiosk project from the Visitors Bureau on Main Street, Greenville, will be voted on tonight. I want to acknowledge Mayor Willman's support of this project. Chance Cox from Eric Brand's office has been very attentive, working with our attorney on this, and Ms. Harris helping to expedite this through the legislative process. We appreciate that very much. I am at council's disposition here tonight to answer any final concerns or questions that you may have, if any.
I wasn't aware we were gonna have this tonight. I haven't seen anything in written form about how it covers what. But one of the biggest concerns from the last meeting, I believe, was the selling of advertisement on this kiosk.
Yes, our initial request encompassed that. I apologize if there was any misunderstanding on that. We asked for the same consideration that we received from the Village of Versailles for our kiosk project that we are planning in downtown Versailles. They have granted us that consideration to advertise on the kiosk downtown. We are amenable to the city's wishes to prohibit advertising on this kiosk, and that is reflected in the agreement language.
Something.
Okay. Is that-
The,
Tracy's got it.
you said that this one's going to be placed in Versailles. Do you know where the location for Versailles is?
It will be right outside the inn. Michael Anthony's on that side of the street, close to the corner there. I believe that's Main Street and the corner of Main and Center Street, I believe, in the public right of way. And that has already passed Village Council, so.
Now, are you still asking Ryan to put it up?
The agreement language states that the city will do its best to expedite that. We have received commitments from the county park district and/or the county highway department to install that with assistance from Mr. Delk should scheduling become too big of an issue. So we'd like to get it in the ground as soon as possible. Obviously, we're in the summer season. We've got a lot of people downtown for First Fridays. We've got tour groups coming for KitchenAid. We want to get everything that we have in front of them as soon as possible. So,
Because when it was first presented, that you brought it up here, it was, their sign guy, I think, was talking about it, you know, removing some bricks and putting cement down.
yeah, correct. Again, I apologize.
All of us was under the standing that he was gonna do it himself.
Yeah, I apologize if there was a misunderstanding. Again, that was the same consideration that we got from the Village of Versailles. The village is taking care of the installation of that kiosk in Versailles as well. Just a miscommunication there. So again, I apologize for that if there was a misunderstanding.
Okay, have we discussed after it's up, who's responsible for the upkeep or damage to it, if there's any damage or anything?
That is in the agreement. This is still owned by the Visitors Bureau. We will maintain it and take care of it. It's covered by our liability policy as well, so.
One question I would have, Mr. Stogler, I don't know if the Visitors Bureau or who owns the property, whether you rent, lease, whatever, but if perchance you would ever move, would the sign have to be relocated to a different place?
There is language in the agreement
Okay.
for that situation, should that arise.
Thank you. Anything further?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to address council may do so at this time. Everybody's remaining silent. Seeing no one wishing to address council, we will move the agenda to the administrative reports. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President. One item I wanted to make sure we address is the fountain lights. Is that going to be something we bring up during now, or do it underneath other business?
Oh, it can be accomplished now if I can find it. I brought it with me. I know I have it.
We were just working on it.
In there, if the council remembers, I passed out a paper about a month ago, and it was kind of guidelines, rules, regulations. We kind of adopted it after the format of our sign, rules and regulations we have on the island, circle island, the pork chops they call it, around the circle, what people want to advertise, the events that are going on. And we kind of formatted after that. And, but the one reason it's coming here is because there was a thought, a possible part of the rules of a donation somewhat to request the color of the lights on the circle for a period of time, and if that's something that we want to do. So basically my request is to, could we put that, or send that to a committee to review it and see if we would like to charge something in possibility of maintenance down the road. So if we do, we don't. If we do, you need to have an approval on that. If we don't, then we can just pass it, or we can just adopt it. So that's the reason it's here.
Okay.
Thank you.
That it? That's all your report?
I mean, yeah, that's it. I pass.
Okay.
I thought you were going to ask a question.
I've
I'm waiting.
I've got a question, not on the lights,
Oh.
but concerning the kiosk. Matt said that you had conversations with him. Can you give us some update? Because I just showed Mr. Burkett that wasn't sent out to council members by email till almost 4:30 this afternoon.
Right, yeah.
And I just happened to catch it and just look closely. I haven't really dived in, and I think that's where all the confusion, Matt, with people haven't had time to digest or even look at
And
it.
I didn't realize it either. I got it late too. I just happened to be sitting there, and we talked late this afternoon, and I said, well, I just saw it myself, and I didn't know for sure if it was going to be brought up tonight or not. But
Okay.
so I didn't have any more time than you did as far as reading
Okay,
it
yeah,
over. And,
to look,
yeah. I mean, it was something that Matt had brought up earlier, council meeting, and seemed like everybody was fairly for it. And so, yeah, I'm sure that's why it was pursued more.
I'm not a speed reader anymore, but it seems to have covered the concerns that this council had brought up.
Right.
Okay. Before we move on, Mr. Garrison, I had received a request from the mayor regarding this committee assignment to review rules, regulation, charges for fountain lights, et cetera, and he has a sample thing here. I'm going to assign that to the miscellaneous and priority needs committee. This is how to tell you're the chair.
Okay,
And if you'll review that and come back with, and a conclusion on July the 11th, that would be good.
okay.
Do you have a copy of this request?
No.
Okay. Yeah. The clerk will provide you with a copy. Okay, now, Safety Service Director, Mr. Garrison.
You.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. This evening, just have a few things to cover. Give you an update on several of our projects that are in progress. The 4th Schweitzer Street project, we continue with the sewer tap installation. Sewer lining is complete. They have decided that they will concentrate on the area from Pine Street to the railroad as far as sewer tap installation, water line installation, and water services. Just to make everyone aware that sometime in the future, we had a construction meeting today and talked through the procedures of tying in water lines at Pine and Schweitzer. It will be quite involved. There may be detours that will be involved. Also, Broombaugh is exploring the idea of working at night when traffic is at a minimum due to the fact that you have the 4 intersections, or not 4 intersections, but the 4 arteries coming into that one main intersection of a couple different state highways and semi-traffic. So we will explore possible night construction, and I will give you more details in the near future as those are available. The ODOT portion of the reconstruction project is almost ready to certify. We are waiting on one last piece, and what that means is that the right-of-way issues have all been taken care of. The easement issues have all been taken care of through ODOT. ODOT will certify that on the administrative end. Moten Associates has submitted the Stage 3 drawings. Stage 3 are the final tracings. Once those are approved and the job is certified, it will be ready to go out to bid later this year. Our maintenance paving project, that is currently out for bid. The goal is to have the bids open and some sort of a presentation back to this council at the July 11th council meeting in anticipation of awarding that project and getting that project completed by the end of September this year. If you've been along 127 and seen the gravel piles just south of the 36 overpass, that is the Darke County Parks putting in the bike trail. So that next phase is moving along nicely. If you've been through the park, you see that the island project is progressing. They anticipate having that project completed by the end of the week. A couple miscellaneous notes for you. We had our first round of mosquito spraying. Mr. Tryon sent me, I think it was an email or a phone call, and just discussed, is that on a regular basis? And the answer to that is no. And I just put this out for all of the public, that in order for Ryan to initiate a spraying, he must receive a complaint. So his complaint generated, a complaint. So when he receives a complaint, they will spray. So anyways, just throw that out there. Everybody's going to blow up the street department phone now saying, oh, I just got bit by a mosquito. But there is no set schedule. Jokingly, just putting that out there.
Good, let me help.
As we speak about little bugs, I am pleased to, well, not really pleased, but I need to inform you that the police department roof was leaking as the spring rains were upon us. The one office was received some damage, and we called a local roof company in that specializes in flat roofing, and they did an inspection, and it was found that our steel building with a concrete roof deck and a rubber membrane has termites. And the reason that the police roof has termites is that before you have the concrete deck, then on top of the concrete deck, they put in an insulation board. Back in the day, they used fuzz board, which is wood composite. And the little critters bit through the rubber and disintegrated the wood fiber. So, with all that being said, we are looking at a major repair of the annex roof. And that will, I guess, fortunately, we'll coordinate that with the HVAC repairs that we've talked about previously, and that we would really like to get, there's 6 compressors on top of the annex roof. And in order to replace that roof, we need to get the compressors off the roof. So when we uninstall those compressors and we go back with a new system, most likely we will put them at ground level and to the rear of the building. So just to let you know that that expense is probably in the near future and will need to happen before the end of this year. And we're in the process of getting quotes, so I'm not going to throw numbers out until we receive those quotes. The next to last thing that I would like to talk about this evening, you all have handouts in front of you. And probably a month ago, members of the administration sat down with an individual. His name was Nate Green, and he was from the Montrose Group. And he was introduced to the city of Greenville by Mike Bowers, the Economic Development Director for Darke County. And Mr. Green made a presentation about downtown redevelopment districts. And these districts and downtown areas were made possible last year through House Bill 233. And municipalities like Greenville is able to establish these redevelopment districts. They can be 10-acre areas that have to include a historic building or be a portion of a historic district. I didn't make maps for everyone, but floating in between and around your seat is a map. And within that map are highlighted areas or buildings or parcels. And those highlighted areas represent either the historical district and or historical buildings. So as long as one of those particular areas are included in the 10-acre district, this district can be established. Now, the benefit of this district is what we're going to go through. It's very similar to a CRA, or a community reinvestment area, in that it involves property tax. So a developer purchases a building. The building is dilapidated, or it's bare ground, and it has very little tax value. Developer comes in, develops a property, builds a building, remodels a building, property value goes up, property tax goes up. With this district, 70% of the increase in property tax can come back to the municipality in the form of a TIF, tax increment financing. That money can be used for various purposes. One of the purposes in which is, say, loan forgiveness. So let's say a developer or an individual comes to town, they want to buy a building within one of these districts. They would have to make a very substantial investment in this remodeling process. So they come to the city and they work out a deal with the city, and the city says, we're going to loan you X. I don't know what that number is, but they're going to loan this individual some amount of money. This individual invests that money, they develop this building, they put their own money into it. We get the TIF, this municipality, the city gets the TIF. That TIF can then be used to offset that loan. So in essence, the developer is getting a grant because the TIF is being used to pay back that loan to the city. The city can also designate that money to be used for public infrastructure. So down the road, let's say this program really gets going, we could use this money for streetscape to enhance our downtown. We could use this money to replace pavers that's desperately needed right now, although it's not going to probably make it that long. Street lighting, fountains, parks, all those things can be used to enhance the infrastructure within that district. A city can set up multiple districts. That is why I showed you all of the historic areas in our downtown. We can have 10-acre districts that go off of any one building in any direction. So we can include areas of South Broadway, the old Marsh building. We can include North Broadway. There's some vacant land at the corner of North Main, North Broadway, that could be used for future development. There's an old gas station that sits along North Broadway that it could be used for. So really, it would be our job if council chooses to move forward with this, and when I say our job, the planning department, the administration, to work with this consultant in figuring out where these districts would best be located. Now, it all sounds well and good, but there is some work that has to go on behind the scenes to make this happen. There are some reports that need to be prepared. There's some economic studies that need to be done. The Montrose Group, Nate Green, is a consultant whose company he's the only, or they are the only consultant in the state of Ohio that has already done one of these districts and have that completed for a municipality. Their proposal is to set up as many districts as the city wants for $20,000. And then they will help us to administer the beginning of this program. You're shaking your head.
20,000 for each.
No, I wasn't shaking my head.
It's
Where
it's
you was.
it's $20,000, and they will help us. It's not $20,000 per district. They will help us set up all of the districts, and they will provide all of the studies, the needed background information. I believe in their proposal, they propose that it's going to take 5 months. They would bill us $4,000 a month for 5 months or until the job is completed. So,
You say the loan would come from the city,
correct.
and how are we going to be funding that by chance? I mean,
You fund it out of, you would set aside money for the purpose of economic development, just like we
Okay.
set aside money for the Whirlpool expansion. Ms. Garrett, here in the front row, she's tried to get a program off the ground during her tenure as Main Street Greenville just to do facades. And it was hard to do that because there wasn't money available to back that kind of a program. This would be a commitment on behalf of the city, but it would also be an investment in our community. That would help invest, and as others choose to invest.
how long would the TIF last?
Reading through this material, it can be anywhere from 10 to 30 years. 10 for sure, and then if it goes beyond 10, you have to get the agreement of the school district. Very similar to the CRA.
Yeah.
And this would, to set up the money would be similar to what we do for the capital improvement program.
Correct. Actually, you have to set up a separate fund. If you read through this, you'll
Right.
see, you have to set up a separate fund for the administration of this program.
At the Fall Ohio Municipal League, I believe the mayor and I'm not sure, Mr. Burkett, if you said it on that presentation, I think it was the mayor of Akron, where they have used this program to develop the area in between the downtown business district and the university, and we're able to take blighted areas and hook them to buildings and expand upon that, and really, they've reinvented themselves, and it's become a very vibrant connector between the two that has increased the overall, not only economic, but through retail business, but through industrial growth, because they spurred off on the edges, plus the housing market there. I think there was a information not too long ago in one of the papers about the using the upstairs areas of the downtown business districts. We know that in the city of Dayton, they've taken old factories and basically made a loss out of them, and they're very desirable because of the convenience of being able to be down where the action is. Close, and we can see stuff like that. I know back in the 90s when I was on council, and that period of time, we looked at some redevelopment, and again, that wasn't followed through upon, but that was right after the program that was in the late 80s to do the townscape, the downtown business district.
Just to be clear, you can spend $20,000, you can set up these districts. That is only the beginning. If you choose not to, or future councils would choose not to, say, continue the program as far as trying to help facilitate development in our downtown area, you do not have, this council would not have to do that. However, the TIF would still be in place. If by chance you had someone that came to our downtown or decided to do development in a district and they decided to do it on their own, the increase in tax dollars would still come back to the city in the form of a TIF. The idea of facilitating a loan and then turning that into a grant is just one particular way to use the tool. We don't have to use it that way, but it is a way that the tool can be used. It is a way to help facilitate development within these districts. If we choose not to use it in that manner, we just choose not to use it. We've spent $20,000 in setting up and establishing these districts. If people choose to do development in that area, yes, you're still going to potentially receive some sort of a TIF back to use how you would like to do it or use it.
So it's for individuals to use or corporation, whatever.
It's an economic development tool for the city.
Just from looking at this map and realizing that if the bridge on Broadway is historic, then there's a good 10 acres right there that are crying out for some kind of development.
You have that, you have some school property that would potentially be able to be developed. There may be, it's kind of literally a long stretch, but Chad and I were looking at it today to somehow maybe go just encompass Martin Street and then go get it out to the Integrity Park. Again, the entire area doesn't have to be historic. It just has to encompass a historic building within that 10 acres. So the Integrity Park might be somewhat of a stretch. Definitely the old Marsh building could be included.
And the restrictions upon this isn't as binding as the architectural review. It's just basically redevelopment of the area.
Correct. So,
It would help with the sidewalk program if we wanted to institute that.
absolutely, absolutely. So the question in presenting this evening, the question is, would council like to investigate it further? Would you want to send this out to a committee, have the Montrose Group, Nate Green representative, come and do another presentation for a council committee before possibly approving legislation to enter into contract with the Montrose Group? Or do you think it's a good idea and want to move forward?
Would that be good for just a committee, or would that be good for a work session, council of the whole? That way everyone is on board.
Can do it however you would choose. If you want to do it during a council meeting, I could have him come and do a presentation during public comments. If you want to do it on a separate evening, he's more than willing to accommodate our needs.
What's your pleasure? Any suggestions?
As much as I hate to volunteer for things, I think we ought to have an open work session dedicated just to this.
I think so.
I mean,
It sounds like it's.
I need time to digest this, we all do, and we need as much information as we can get.
I agree.
If we have one evening devoted simply to that, that's, I think, far better than trying to squeeze.
He met with us for about an hour and a half, so, yeah. I would hate to limit him to 10 minutes during
Oh, sure,
public comments.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
No, no.
what's council's pleasure? Again, after tonight, we won't be meeting until, well, that'll be June the 20th. So there's, several,
Second meeting, I mean, after the second meeting in July or someplace in that time frame.
second meeting in July.
Yeah, I mean, we
It's
got
18.
holidays coming up and everything for everybody, so.
Pardon? Yeah, in July, we have 2 weeks in a row, the 11th and the 18th will be council meeting, since we're moving the.
Is there a timeline in this that we have to come under?
Nope.
Okay.
Or would you care to do it sometime toward the end of June? It's up to you. There. To here. So we could,
Yeah.
You say the end of June, what dates are you talking about?
whatever you choose.
We're looking at 27th of July, I mean, June, possibly?
What date is that on?
It's Tuesday?
Tuesday.
1 week after our second meeting?
I could do that.
Yeah, I think I'm good.
I don't leave until Wednesday.
Early, say like
You,
Well,
I
I'm
won't be
okay with that.
available, but
6.
that's,
6?
you guys can go ahead. You can chair the meeting, Trey.
That's June
That'll
27th.
be on the creeks don't rise.
Yeah.
You can't guarantee that anymore. What time are we gonna meet?
6?
I'm okay with that.
6?
June 27th, 6 o'clock, work session. Six o'clock, 6 p.m. Here in council chambers. Okay? Does that work for you, Mr. Garrison?
Yes, I'm sorry, I'm just entering that in my calendar, so. And then just one final, I guess, reminder, just to let everyone know, council and citizens, that we'll be having public meeting Thursday evening, June 8th, 7 PM at the Greenville K through 8 facility. This will be held in the cafetorium, which is around behind the building. No steps, just walk in the doors and you're right in the cafetorium. It'll be real easy to find. So that meeting will be at 7 o'clock. We'll have that set up. An invitation has been extended to the county commissioners and the sheriff, chief deputy, and 911 coordinator will be on hand as well to answer any questions from the public and/or council. And the mayor just reminded me, one last comment, is that had the pleasure of hiring a new custodian, Tom Hensley. I don't believe any relation to Councilman Hensley, but we welcome Tom this week, and 2 days has worked out really well, so continue that relation.
Kurt,
Yes, sir.
can I add, I had the opportunity to be in the police department today and was in the room that was damaged by the leaky roof, and there was a lot of property and things in there that they've had to move around and plus the damage to the walls and the wall coverings and things like that. Is there gonna be something done in the meantime to alleviate that problem and get that back in order, or?
They're, from what I was told by them, they're gonna do what they're doing right now, because if we put things back in, we run the risk of leaking in that particular area.
There's no
so,
patch or anything?
no.
I went up and looked at that, Tracy. It's amazing. There's just little holes everywhere. It was just.
Well, I understand the concept, because when we redid the mausoleum at the cemetery, the same type of effect was underneath that. And, but they used a good hardwood, not a cardboard with some blue in it.
They like ours better, I bet.
Well, there are difference between construction of 1911 and 1980s, I guess.
Shoot plenty of bubble gum, shove it in the office.
That it?
I pass, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Harrison. Appreciate your time. Moving on, Law Director, Mr. Brand.
I pass.
And how about City Auditor, Mrs. Wellman?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just have one item to bring forward tonight. The supplemental appropriation of $12,937 to the Ohio Public Works Commission, which you will be asked to approve tonight, is the 2017 loan repayment on the Ohio East Main Street project. This is a principal-only loan. The reason for this appropriation tonight is due to the fact that the repayment schedule was received after we had already established the 2017 budget. And this loan has already been included in the 2018 budget. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
You say it's principal?
It's a principal-only loan, yes.
0% interest.
The preliminary information that was sent out was a little wrong on where the monies was coming from. It's coming from the general fund, correct? Originally, it was being transferred from different accounts,
Correct, yes, it is.
but it's not coming from those accounts. It's just coming from the general fund.
Yes.
We'll pass that on down to those guys.
Okay.
And with that, I pass.
Okay, thank you. That concludes our administrative reports. Moving on to finance, committee reports. Out of the Finance Committee, we had an assignment, and we have a report.
Report dated May 23rd, 2017. Honorable members, the Finance Committee met on May 23rd, 2017 to review the bids submitted for the construction of the Marling Band Shell and determine whether or not restrooms should be included in the scope of work. The committee recommends to appropriate $100,000 toward the completion of the band shell project, which will include restrooms, a security gate, and allow for other contingencies. The committee also recommends that necessary legislation be prepared. Committee on Finance, Tracy Tryon, Chairman, Doug Schmidt, Vice Chairman, and John Hensley, Member.
Move to accept the committee's report.
Motion by Mr. Oliver to accept the committee's report. Discussion.
Just to fill you in, the initial request was for less than that. It was covering just the additional cost of the restrooms, to pay that off. But if you'll recall, when we did the community improvement request this year, part of that, or it was funds from the Community Events Fund, that there was a request in there for partial payment toward the security gate, and then the mayor requested that it be pulled back, and that money was then applied to our commitments to Main Street, Greenville, Economic Development, and the Visitors Bureau. What we're looking at on this is, since this would be a capital improvement, the cost of the security gate's gone up quite a bit. By including it all, it will come out of the capital improvement funds, and it can all be done this time, once this year, as the construction is completed, and it secures that facility for the fall, winter months. As we know, and I know Mr. Oliver has been involved in it before, that there was graffiti or damage done that has taken groups to go in there. This is gonna secure that, so that doesn't happen in the future. And that's why we moved it up to 100,000. We do have the monies available that have come back from the early payment of was it Timmerman project?
The TIFs.
That's paid off, so it's money that's come back from that is now additional burden onto the general fund to as it was in the past. Okay?
Besides the restrooms and the gating and fencing, is there any security lighting built into this whole project? I mean, specifically for the band shell?
I believe that there was some lighting there originally, I
We
assume.
can put some, we call wall packs,
Yeah.
like at the entrance to the restroom. But realize there, in the evening, there's gonna be a garage, like a lack of better terms, a garage door that's gonna come down over one opening. So you're not going to be able to get in any alcoves or.
Okay.
you're just
Well,
gonna
it's
be able-
metal security.
Yeah. There's a light at the back ingress egress door. All of the ingress egress doors are required by code to have a light.
Okay, further discussion on the motion to adopt, or yes, accept the committee's report. Seeing none, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Hensley?
Yes.
Addishell?
Yes.
Oliver?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Tryon?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Now, that legislation has been prepared, the committee report is passed. Therefore, according to council rule, that becomes item number 4 under ordinances resolution, which is a resolution to accept the bids for the reconstruction of the band shell in the park. So that's item 4. And that's all we have under committee reports. And moving on to the ordinances resolutions. And number 1 is a supplemental appropriations ordinance.
An ordinance to make additional appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Greenville, State of Ohio during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2017. This ordinance authorizes appropriations to the general fund for OPWC loan Ohio East Main Street project for elect auditor and treasurer in the amount of $12,937. These funds are needed to fund the Ohio Public Works Commission loan on the Ohio East Main Street project.
Make a motion to suspend the rules on this ordinance and read it by title only, second and third time.
Motion by Mr. Godwin to suspend the rules, read the ordinance by title, second and third time. Discussion. Call the roll, please.
Hensley?
Yes.
Addishell?
Yes.
Oliver?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Tryon?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
An ordinance to make additional appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Greenville, State of Ohio during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2017. An ordinance to make additional appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Greenville, State of Ohio during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2017.
Move to adopt the ordinance?
Motion by Mr. Rogers to adopt the ordinance. Discussion. Call the roll, please.
Hensley?
Yes.
Addishell?
Yes.
Oliver?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Tryon?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Next, we have an ordinance providing for issuing of heavy hauling permits.
An ordinance providing for issuance of heavy hauling permits. This ordinance authorizes the Safety Service Director to make written application to the Director of Transportation for authority to issue heavy hauling permits to applicants for the operation or movement of heavy hauler vehicles.
Motion to suspend the rules, give this ordinance reading by title only for a second, third time.
Motion by Mr. Tryon to suspend the rules, read the ordinance by title, second and third time. Discussion. Call the roll, please.
Hensley?
Yes.
Addishell?
Yes.
Oliver?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Tryon?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
An ordinance providing for issuance of heavy hauling permits. An ordinance providing for issuance of heavy hauling permits.
Move to adopt the ordinance?
Motion by Mr. Rogers to adopt the ordinance. Discussion.
Yeah, what was the driving force for this ordinance? I mean, haven't we had?
Speedway
some-
Marathon. They would like to use larger tankers to transport ethanol, so it will help the Greenville ethanol plant as far as the amount of product being sold out of their plant, because they'll be able to transport more.
More. And this is for permits within the city, traveling
Correct.
within the city, okay.
But it's more mainly confined to the industrial area and
It would permit them to be on, they have to provide, I believe, a map, but it permits them to be on a city street.
they're not going down Avenue A, though.
Correct.
They're gonna hook up at my place.
It basically is the main
Put a
state
tanker
routes.
on Treaty Way so that you can fill up with ethanol. But yes, that's.
Okay. Well, further discussion. We have a motion to adopt the ordinance. Call the roll, please.
Hensley?
Yes.
Addishell?
Yes.
Oliver?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Tryon?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Carries. Next, we have an ordinance authorizing contract with the Dark County Visitors Bureau and the Main Street Greenville to grant a variance.
An ordinance to approve a contract with Dark County Visitors Bureau and Main Street Greenville and grant a variance. This ordinance authorizes the Safety Service Director to enter into a contract with the Dark County Visitors Bureau and Main Street Greenville in order to grant a variance to permit a kiosk installation on the city right-of-way on Broadway.
Move to suspend the rules and read this ordinance by title only, second and third time.
Motion by Mr. Oliver to suspend the rules, read the ordinance by title, second, third time. Discussion. Call the roll, please.
Hensley?
Yes.
House?
Yes.
Oliver?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
No.
Tryon?
No.
Godwin?
No.
Carries 4-3, correct? Simple majority. No, wait a minute. That was to read it. Suspend the rules? No. That's done. Okay. Takes six affirmative votes to suspend the rules. There were only 4. Next, we have a resolution accepting the bids for reconstruction of the band shell in the park.
A resolution authorizing accepting the bid for reconstruction of the park band shell. This resolution authorizes the Safety Service Director to accept the bid from Hind Construction Incorporated for the reconstruction of the band shell in the park.
Motion to suspend the rules and read it by title for the first and second, third time?
Motion by Mrs. Haudashell to suspend the rules, read the resolution by title, second, third time. Discussion. Call the roll.
Hensley?
Yes.
House?
Yes.
Oliver?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Tryon?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
A resolution authorizing accepting the bid for reconstruction of the park band shell. A resolution authorizing accepting the bid for reconstruction of the park band shell.
Move to adopt.
Motion by Mr. Oliver to adopt the resolution. Discussion. Call the roll, please.
Hensley?
Yes.
House?
Yes.
Oliver?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Tryon?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
And that concludes ordinance and resolutions. We have nothing under old business. I just thought about putting this under new business at the last minute for my own edification is, do we need to assign the review of the 2018 budget and assign the hearing date for the 2018 budget on July the 11th? It has to be reviewed by the Dark County Board
Yes,
by the 20th, right?
Yes.
Or we have to have it passed by the 20th?
yes. And do we need to have another meeting in the Finance Committee? So,
Okay, so that the 2018 review is now assigned to the Finance Committee officially, and we officially set July the 11th as a public hearing on the 2018. Okay?
yes,
You got that right. So we don't get caught with something crazy here.
okay.
All right, thank you. Items of communications.
Monthly reports were received from the following departments: Fire Department, Income Tax Department, and Police Department. An invitation was received to Annie's Star Spangled Gala on June 10th, 2017, and an invitation was received to the Troy Sunshade Company's open house on June 24th, 2017. Multiple letters were received regarding the Architectural Review Board recommendations. These reports, invitations, and letters have been distributed to council.
So moves on to Mr. Mayor. Now, I think that's all we have so far, so call down the council, please.
Mr. Hensley?
I'll pass.
Mrs. Howdashell?
Mister? I'd just like to say everybody be safe over the 4th of July weekend, and it's good to see so many people are here that's interested in what's going on with the city. And with that, I pass.
Mr. Oliver?
Congratulations to the graduating class of 2017. Good luck. And with that, I'll pass.
Mr. Rogers?
Yeah, with seniors being out last week, and I think probably Thursday, I believe, is the last day for the rest of the schools. So we're going to have more kids out on the streets, so be very careful whenever you're out driving, because I'm sure there's going to be bicycles and walkers and so forth that probably won't watch for the cars. So just watch for them, and I pass.
Mr. Schmidt?
I'll pass.
Mr. Tryon?
Just a note that the park will be busy this summer with all the construction going on, not only the island and the lagoons, but you have the band shell and the track and stadium projects going on. Also, I appreciate the number of people that have come tonight, I'm assuming for the architectural review. And again, to let you know that you will be receiving notification of when that meeting will take place. July the 11th. And that to strongly suggest that you come up and get a copy or look at the copies of the legislation that's being proposed. I pass.
Mr. Godwin?
I just like to say thanks for everybody coming up tonight. It's kind of nice out there, and giving up a nice evening. And with that, I'll pass.
President Burkett?
A couple of things, yes, regarding the hearing that's scheduled on the three pieces of legislation for the architectural review district of one. There are guidelines, design guidelines for historic downtown Greenville, which is in a little brochure like this, containing about, I don't know exactly how many pages, but it deals with such things as rehabilitation principles, landscaping, brick, stucco, stone, frame buildings, architectural metals, roofs, exterior painting, windows and doors, awnings, shutters, signs, rhythm, height, and scale. Well, that's a new one. And new construction and zoning. So not only that, these particular things are not in that piece of legislation. So if you want to review those also can be made available.
Can they be put online?
Yes, they can be put online, sure.
Yeah.
As many of you know, the cost of printing does escalate, and if we have to print large quantities of things, it does present a bit of a burden. So it would be helpful if you could read a lot of this stuff, at your leisure online, and however you would choose to do that. Also, having just returned back into the area for about a week, be going a week, went to the park area, and I saw we're gonna have mud soccer and mud football because all the grass is going up on the football field. And the island in the park looks really, really nice. I know it's not completed yet, but I think there's great progress being made there. And thanks to the people doing that. And I'd like to take this opportunity to extend a really big thank you to everyone. And I know you'll leave, or I would leave someone out, but particularly the Disabled American Veterans Organization, the American Legion, and the VFW, and all of the members and people involved in the Memorial Day Parade and the services at the cemetery. And most especially Ken Price, who served not only as a chaplain for the Legion and assisted with the ceremony at the cemetery, but also his hard work in organizing the parade as we honored those who have served their country, many very significantly. So I do appreciate everyone's attendance at the parade and everyone who was involved, all the units who were there. Monday afternoon, Memorial Day, I'm sure on a nice day, there are a lot of other things you can do, but taking a little time to honor those, I think was really, really special. So thanks to all of those people who helped with that. With that, I will pass and entertain a motion that we rise to executive session.
So moved.
Motion, Mr. Tryon, to rise to executive session for the purpose of discussing items under Ohio Revised Code 121.22 G2. And with that,
Who are we taking with us in?
nobody. Just the members of the administration.
Okay.
So, thank you all for your attendance, and again, reminder that the official public hearing on that issue is July the 11th. Stand in short recess while we then call a roll.
I'm